The original X-Men film in 2000 was a game changer for superhero movies. It was one of Marvel's first big hits and gave us an iconic live-action version of Wolverine. And now that he's coming back with our favorite Merc with a mouth, I thought that we should look back at the first X-Men film and review it. Also, remember to click the like button and subscribe if you like this kind of content. Without further ado, let's begin. The film starts with a narration from Professor X, played by Patrick Stewart, and we get a flashy intro. We see a flashback of Magneto as a child and him discovering his powers for the first time. Some of the other X-Men movies revisit this moment, like these movies never seem to let this moment go. It's kind of like the death of Batman's parents. All the Batman movies keep reminding us that Bruce's parents are dead, which we all should know at this point. We then cut to present day and see Rogue accidentally paralyze a boy she likes by kissing him. Jean Grey, meanwhile, is giving a speech to some politicians about how mutants aren't a threat to society. Then we see Professor X watching the speech from the audience. He also spots his old friend Magneto now, played by Ian McKellen. Magneto and Charles talk about mutants as they walk out of the room where Jean and the politicians are in. Magneto basically says humans suck and us mutants are superior to them, and Charles is like, that's not true. We then cut back to Rogue, who just arrived in Canada after running away from her home. She enters a bar where there's a fighting match involving Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. He's probably my favorite character in the entire movie. He has some very badass moments, and Hugh Jackman was born to play this iconic character. The guy Logan beat up earlier tries to pick a fight with Logan. Logan activates his claws in self-defense, getting him kicked out of the bar. The CGI on Wolverine's claws are actually pretty good, especially for the time. Wolverine drives off in a truck and discovers Rogue is in the truck as well. Wolverine kicks her out of the truck and drives away. He changes his mind though, and the two get to know each other a bit. The relationship between Rogue and Logan is kind of sweet, not gonna lie. They're then attacked by Sabretooth, but Storm, played by Holly Berry, and Cyclops, played by James Marsden, come to help rescue them. Sabretooth, unfortunately, doesn't get much to do in this movie. I don't remember if he spoke at all, and if he did, what he said wasn't memorable. Sabretooth meets up with Magneto, and an unconscious Logan is taken to the X-Mansion, where he probably meets Jean, Professor X, Cyclops, and Storm. All four of these characters are pretty good in my opinion. The actors that were chosen to play these characters are for the most part great in their respective roles. Charles tells Logan about Sabretooth and Magneto as well as his school for gifted youngsters and offers to help him. During all this, Rogue meets Bobby, aka Iceman. I know in the comics, Gambit is Rogue's romantic partner, but since I never read the comics, this never bothered me. Also, spoiler alert, we don't see much of Bobby. He gets like 20 seconds of screen time and that's it. We later cut to politicians getting into a helicopter. There, one of them is revealed to be Mystique, a shapeshifter who is also one of Magneto's allies. She knocks a senator named Senator Kelly out by just kicking him, and she hijacks the helicopter along with another mutant named Toad. Meanwhile, back with our heroes, Jean scans Logan and shows Storm, Cyclops, and Charles that Wolverine's body is made of adamantium, a strong metal which we'll learn more about in later movies. Senator Kelly is brought to Magneto, McKellen makes some goofy faces, and the movie doesn't quite show us what just happened yet. Logan talks to Jean about her ability to read people's minds, and she sees into his head until Scott interrupts them, setting up the love triangle between Logan, Jean, and Scott. Logan gets some haunting flashbacks while he's sleeping and accidentally stabs Rogue when he wakes up. Rogue touches Logan, absorbing his powers to heal herself, and then runs away. Charles informs Logan what happened when he wakes up, and we see that Senator Kelly has been transformed into a mutant thanks to Magneto's machine, which I forgot to mention earlier, and he escapes the cell he's trapped in. He arrives on a beach, and Bobby tells Rogue to leave the school. Bobby is revealed to be Mystique in disguise. Charles notices Rogue left the school and he uses Cerebro, a machine that can locate humans, to find her. He sees that she's at a train station and sends Storm and Scott after Rogue, but Logan steals Scott's motorcycle to get to her first. Mystique uses this opportunity to sneak into the X-Mansion. Logan finds Rogue and tells her that Xavier's a good dude and that he'll take care of her. Cyclops and Storm, meanwhile, get attacked by Sabretooth and Toad, and Magneto comes for Rogue. Magneto lifts Logan and puts him into a Jesus pose briefly before knocking him out. He also knocks out Rogue, and Charles takes control of Sabretooth for a while when Magneto and his allies exit the train station. I've seen both Pitch Meeting and Nostalgia Critic point out that Charles could have used Sabretooth to remove Magneto's helmet. I honestly don't know how to feel about that. But instead, Charles lets Magneto and the others go after Magneto nearly kills the cops who I forgot to mention arrived earlier. Logan is taken back to the mansion and is about to go out and find Rogue, but Senator Kelly arrives looking for Jean. Charles goes through Senator Kelly's head and watches Magneto turn him into a mutant. Charles talks to the other X-Men about what he saw, and they figure out Magneto's evil plan. Storm then witnesses Senator Kelly disintegrate and warns the others. Charles tries to use Cerebro and ends up passing out due to the poison Mystique inserted into Cerebro when she snuck in earlier. Jean then uses Cerebro and finds out Magneto's at the Statue of Liberty. The bad guys kill some random guards, and Magneto explains to Rogue that he's going to kill her in order to transform everyone into a mutant. The X-Men then go to stop Magneto, and they make fun of the classic X-Men suits while they're getting settled in the Blackbird, the X-Men's jet.
You actually go outside in these things? What would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
Thank God we're going to eventually see comic-accurate costumes, at least for Wolverine and Deadpool 3. The black leather suits are very boring to look at. They arrive at the Statue of Liberty and go through a metal detector. Wolverine destroys the metal detector when it went off and flips Cyclops off with his claws. The rivalry between these two is amusing to watch, and Jackman and Marsden did a good job at acting it out. The X-Men are then attacked by Mystique, who is disguised as Logan. Toad also shows up, and the X-Men fight their enemies. Wolverine takes a kick to the balls, and Storm defeats Toad while Logan stabs Mystique. The X-Men regroup, and Magneto pins them all to the wall. Magneto is told that Senator Kelly is dead and then tells the X-Men his plan. Wolverine frees himself and then gets into a fight with Sabretooth. Cyclops blasts Sabretooth off the Statue of Liberty, and Logan is sent up to where Magneto and Rogue are thanks to Storm. The X-Men defeat Magneto, saving Rogue and the citizens of New York. As a result of Magneto's machine, Rogue gets the white streaks in her hair, which is similar to her look in the comics, and Logan gives a bit of his healing factor to revive Rogue. The X-Men leave the bad guys behind for some reason, and Charles wakes up from his coma. Jean checks on Logan, and he's obviously fine. Charles then gives Logan some info about where he came from, so Logan says goodbye to Rogue and gives her his dog tag. He steals Scott's motorcycle again, and Magneto and Professor X play a bit of chess before Charles leaves Magneto's plastic cell. Roll credits. X-Men is a fun time. It's not a masterpiece, but it's enjoyable. The actors are well cast, and it tells a nice, simple story. The effects, for the most part, are passable. I do wish we got other characters in this movie, like Nightcrawler, Beast, and Angel, but those guys show up in the sequel, so I can't really complain. I'm gonna give X-Men an 8 out of 10. What did you guys think of the original X-Men movie? Let me know in the comments down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to hear more content like this. Peace!